Hello, everyone. In this revision lesson today, we'd be discussing a question from October-November 2024, variant 1-2. This particular question is of 5 marks and it's from the study conducted by Holzel et al. On mindfulness and brain scans. If we talk about this study explored the effects of mindfulness practice on brain structure and function. Specifically, they investigated how participation in an 8-week mindfulness based stress reduction MBSR course could affect the brain. MBSR is a structured program that combines mindfulness meditation with stress reduction techniques. So, having a look at the question here reads: in the study by Holzel et al., one of the groups participated in a mindfulness based stress reduction course, that is MBSR. There were inclusion criteria for this particular group. Okay. So there was an inclusion criteria for this particular group. Describe these inclusion criteria. So a description is demanded on the inclusion criteria. And whenever the examiner uses the word describe, for this particular command word, you're expected to state the points of a particular topic or give characteristics or the main features. Now, describe these inclusion criteria. We see this is a 5-mark question, and basic common sense for this particular 5-mark question, we're expected to write at least 5 points because you're getting 1 mark per correct point here. Now, for this study, the study used MRI scans to observe changes in brain regions related to stress, emotional regulation, and self awareness. The researchers aimed to understand whether the MBSR course could lead to physical changes in the brain, such as increasing the thickness of the gray matter in certain areas. For the group to be eligible, there were specific inclusion criteria, meaning certain conditions or characteristics that participants needed to meet before they could join the course. The first and the foremost one, the first one here, the participants had to either self-enroll or be referred by a doctor for the MBSR course, and they should be seeking stress reduction. This first point. They had they also needed to be they also needed to report being physically and psychologically healthy in the last 6 months with no health issues that could affect their ability to participate in this particular study. This could be a point that could be used. Another important point was that the participants could not be taking any medications that could influence their stress or mental health. So you could write this point as well. In addition, to ensure that participants were new to mindfulness meditation, they could not have attended any meditation classes in the last 6 months. And they should have attended no more than 4 meditation classes in the past 5 years or 10 classes in their lifetime. So you could use this point as well. Age was also a factor. Participants had to be between the ages of 25 and 55. No issues with an MRI scan. Example, the participant was should not be claustrophobic or have any metal implants. Now, this is another point that needs to be taken into account because we're talking about MRI scans being used. And if a participant is claustrophobic or if a participant has any metal implants, you all would know this creates issues while using MRI scans. Now, taking this ahead, the last point that you could also use: commitment to attend all 8 classes and do all the homework. Now, these were taken from 4 MBSR classes in New England. Use any point you want from here. Just make sure you're writing at least 5 points to be able to score 5 on 5 marks. Do you need to write these points down, write the answer down in points? No, I believe you should write your answer in a paragraph. Just make sure you have at least 5 points mentioned from here to be able to score 5 on 5. Quickly having a look at the guidance provided by the examiner. The list is definitive. That makes a lot of sense. The list being definitive. Be careful with main points. So when you're being careful with main points, be careful with main points about medication and meditation. Now, for this particular, what do you call it, guidance, there's a possibility that the participant might confuse these two terms or use them interchangeably, because if you as a student use these words interchangeably, the examiner is being the principal examiner is giving the paper checker or the examiner a heads up that many students might end up making a mistake or use the word medication and meditation interchangeably. So you need to be super careful, because the principal examiner is warning the examiner that students might make a mistake over here. And of course, if you make a mistake over here, you would lose marks there. Taking it ahead, ignore anything about what the participants actually did in the MBSR course. Accept MBSR as meditation class. Handedness was not an inclusion criteria. Accept handedness as in being right-handed or left-handed. Accept had to be healthy or had no psychological disorders. So these were a few guidelines. This question, I believe, uh, uh, this discussing this question, I believe, has helped you revise this particular topic. What is important over here is for you to know that there are 12 core studies, and when you can get a question, a 5-mark question on the inclusion criteria from one particular core study, there's always a possibility that you might get this question wherever applicable on other studies as well. So might as well just list down all the 12 studies, I mean 11 now, because we're done with discussing one, and figure out if there was a inclusion criteria. And if there was an inclusion criteria there, if you get a question, will you be able to answer it? If not, let's open our books and revise. I hope this was helpful. Thank you.